Hey, good morning, everyone. This is Midnight Brands coming to you with prep on April 25th, 2023. It's a little bit after 6:20 here in the morning, getting started late. Wanted to try to get through the pre-prep pieces so we can just flip through the charts and walk through the pieces. So apologies for starting late. I think we'll adjust this to kind of say 6:30 because it's yesterday it worked well. I think it'll work well here again today. I'll also keep it short for these videos and whatnot. So we'll see and make that call here later tonight. Nice little push here, overnight hours on the indices. ES, dipped into and just skipped touching the 20-day EMA, tagged a combo high volume node and a weekly trend guide, and recovered its tier 1 daily sheet. NQ similar in that it dipped below into its daily trend guide reversal, and its tier 1 daily cheat just skipped touching it. So should be an interesting one. With that, we'll go ahead and get started and flip through the charts here. Begin off with SVXY. Pretty cleanish levels. We did add one little spot here, given that we are gapping down. At the moment, SVXY is moved a bit from, obviously, when we took these. It's back up to about 68 and change here now. So it's moved a little bit back up. So it'll be interesting to see what it does here with trend guide reversal from below. But like I said, pretty clean. We did separate out these two zones here versus yesterday. If you remember yesterday, this was all kind of one big zone, but trend guide was up a little bit higher than it was today. So drag this down to mark off kind of where its high has been last week, this week, last week and this week. And then up here you've got that bigger one with quarterly trend guide, monthly. We also included the weekly, and then in theory there would have been photo ADRs in there, but those are obviously going to move down here a bit. Although not if we open kind of back up in that area. We'll have to see. Not a lot else. I guess one thing you could do is you could drag up and include this weekly trend guide to include the 6747. Been over and under it really a bunch, and you can see kind of last week, this is brand new. This is this week's weekly trend guide. But it just, it's really kind of held this area here, so that's why I didn't take it up. Because I didn't want to potentially start to watch it there and then have it just go ahead and hold that 6747. Excuse me. Moving below, you get your gap fill from this gap back on 17th, 18th, and then you get a couple of swing anchor VWAPs coming up with the dailies just kind of right behind them. So that is it for SVXY. Moving over to VIX. Did add a couple others here. It is pulled back a little bit. It's now down to 1749, so moving back below the weekly trend guide where we've had a bunch of structure. So tried poking its head out above there and rejecting back there a little bit. And so the ones we added here, you can see is weekly trend guide 3, gap fill, supply and demand, it's really all those three right there, right? Trend guide 3, gap fill, supply and demand. So above that, you've got your weekly trend guide 4, the tier 2 end week cheat, our tier 1 daily. This was really surprising to us that the daily cheat was way up there, but VIX had some really elevated numbers yesterday when we looked at it. And I thought I'd read that they're moving to O-date VIX, but I don't see that. There's VIX stuff that expires today in the morning. It's interesting. I may have to pull the VIX numbers later. We'll see. In any event, you got that and you get the 50-day there, so pretty big zone. Again, we did add this weekly trend guide. It was not there. We felt that was pretty important, just given kind of the structure and stuff here last week, today, etc. Not much else to say with VIX. Moving on, we go to SPY. Big zone we added down here on SPY is that weekly trend guide 3, 50-day EMA, get your weekly full ADRs, gap fill, annual pivot point, tier 3 daily chi. I mean, there's just a ton of stuff, supply and demand. Like, there's a ton of stuff right here. We may not come anywhere close to it, but it's, you know, part of our stuff in prep is to highlight the potential areas. You know, like this is potentially a div, then you have this area. I would not probably watch this one as much. It's an area that we could stop on. You know, it's the weekly photo ADRs, tier 1 end of week cheat. You know, maybe we come down and just slice through this and grab that 50-day and pull off of it in reverse. So, but it's definitely an area that would start catching eyes and attention on it for sure. Although right now it, you know, came down and touched the bottom edge, or sorry, top edge of this range box we've been in going back over a year. And once again, it's kind of pulling back away from it. Did a similar thing yesterday. I think yesterday was down that 410.50, 410.75-ish area. And it started, you know, bouncing again off of that. So, pretty interesting. It came up yesterday and tagged the swing AVWAP from April 18th. So it'd be this day right here, daily anchored VWAP versus swing. So it tagged the daily anchored VWAP from the 18th there. Let's see, what else do we have here? Do we mark anything extra? We did expand this zone here and move some things around. So we marked the trend guide reversal zone as an inside one. The daily anchored VWAP is going to be coming up to join into this zone. Right now it's probably somewhere right between this space here, but it kind of felt like this was a more accurate way to represent this zone with the top edge of this range box, the weekly trend guide, a couple swing anchor VWAPs. ADRs should still be in this kind of bigger box-ish area, and then the 20-day EMA will be coming into that stuff to join. We'll probably even see the 20-day here this week come up and join the weekly trend guide. Did also call out a note, there's a small little gap fill here in case we do decide to dip down below. But again, like even here, like you can see this, the ADRs have been super tiny here recently. 360, $2 give or take. So do we note anything else? Oh yeah, I guess the other part we did note was the weekly pivot point trend strength reference point, just right there. Like we tried to push back above and just no luck at all. So yeah, I think that will do it for us on SPY. Moving on to the Qs. Qs only had a couple of zones. We added some more commentary to them. So combined actually this daily trend guide and weekly pivot into one. You got some high daily anchor VWAPs and the weekly anchor VWAP right there at this block here. You actually take it up and pull it into supply and demand. But I think that's probably pretty decent right there as is. We did note the trend strength, just kind of where things were sitting at and how it was moving. And then below here actually holds down this trend guide reversal, weekly trend guide zone to include the gap fill. And then down below, if we decide to take out all this stuff, including actually this little bit of structure there. That's interesting. If we decide to go down below, you got some structure, that 311 08 number we've had just interactions with in the past there. You also have the swing anchor VWAP, and you can see there's also a daily anchor VWAP in that vicinity with our weekly photos, weekly trend guide too. And then this one kind of threw me a little bit here, like because you do have right beneath it your monthly pivots, tier 1 daily cheat, gap fill. Like, could you just combine and go weekly trend guide to the monthly pivot? It kind of felt like no, we should keep and pay attention and respect this structure if we do come down here, especially just even given this recent past, you know, not but what 3-4 weeks ago, if that. So we got that, and then if we continue to fail all those things, this would be really massive. This would be a $7 move, which would be double kind of the ADRs we've had here. But that would take us down to the weekly full ADRs, annual pivot, 50-day EMA, supply and demand, and gap fill, which would be a really big move. Similar if we decide to get crazy on the upside. We've got noted here the weekly photo ADRs on the upside there with weekly trend guide reversal. Excuse me. Okay, ES did a nice little tag there, like we said here at this zone with the 20-day EMA, the combo high volume node. Again, go take a look at our Twitter feed where we talk about what we're trying and looking at here with the combo point of controls and still kind of evaluating and looking at that stuff. It's been interesting just a couple days in so far, but still have more to evaluate and look at it on that front. And I guess just to be clear, like we're looking at, we did add yesterday's stuff to this as well last night. So you got yesterday's point of control, rolling 5-day, last week 10 and 20-day rolling point of controls, and then the 3-year volume profile information, and then attaching weights based upon kind of that information. In any event, really nice catch and hold here. This is kind of a the look zone with that 4130. It's a really big and nice zone there to see. Did also note here a little bit of a transfer trend line set up there right at that 20-day that we held earlier. So going back probably here to the, actually no, it's probably back even further, like April 8th or something. A couple other things that we noted. So trend strength really didn't change much there. I think we did shrink it a little bit, but we did add this weekly pivot right where we tried to break yesterday. We ran into the daily anchored VWAP from April 18th, and we just couldn't get back above the weekly pivot. And we really, yesterday, we couldn't get above it either, right? We tried to push out above it and just nothing. Couldn't get an hourly bar close above it. And so noted that one. So you've got a naked VA in there from April 20th. You also have the gap fill there. There's an NV POC just a little bit below, but in any event, where are we now? We're actually 41.41. We moved up and didn't go anywhere. Interesting. Interesting, kind of, we just failed VWAP there. So came up and tagged the trend guide reversal zone and failing it. So have to watch and see what we do with swing anchored VWAP from the lows and how all that plays out. The other part I'd say we added here, remember that March 24th daily anchored VWAPs right here with full ADRs. You have your tier 2 daily cheat. There's also a combo high volume node there. There is also a gap fill in this little div-ish area there. So a lot of stuff actually right here at that 41.19, 41.20-ish area there. Fail that, and then we got some bigger pieces down below. There is a NV POC right above there. But the bigger pieces, I'd say, were the weekly trend guide 2, tier 3 daily cheat, and then a naked value area. And then yeah, just further down below, we decided to really keep going. There's a gap filled way down here. We dragged the zone up here a little bit though. Gap fill, supply demand, weekly photo ADRs, and also the tier 1 end of week cheat. Don't know there's a whole lot else to really kind of cover off and say on this one. It's pretty clear. I'm not sure, like, if we weren't doing this, you know, coming back up and tagging that and failing the kind of trend guide reversal from below would have been an interesting shot to try and take right there. But I was going through and doing prep, so we didn't take that. But I think it would have been a good one to have taken. May only get 5-6 points off of it, you know, just trying to catch it, but it's normally a pretty good shot to get a trend guide reversal failure and then come down and grab that next zone below. We'll just have to see. If that is the case, then we'll just have to keep an eye out for this area, you know, potentially catch the bottom edge of this falling transfer trend line, which would then obviously immediately invalidate this one. We'll be going down further to grab that March 24th one. In any event, the next up is NQ. Okay, so NQ there, really straightforward zones. There is this in our eyes, this kind of bigger must-hold area. I guess in theory you could break it up into two. You could potentially do something like this and break that up into two and go kind of like this. If I get my rectangular set. I guess you could potentially go like that, and then go like this, where you catch, you just kind of ignore the daily cheat there, because more often than not, NQ's gonna overshoot anyways. There's something it's overshooting and grabbing. I'm actually be really interesting to dig into what that is, because that could be a real game changer with some edge. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go back and take a look at that. That could really be a game change type of thing. In any event, that's a bigger zone there. You can decide to break it up if you want, like we just showed, but it is got a lot of stuff there and it really needs to hold. I mean, it could, you know, kind of go down here and grab this kind of wick stuff there, but really, if we don't hold this, then you got the March 13th swing anchor VWAP, which is also going to have your March 10th one lower down at that, what, 12,850? Yeah, at that 12,851. So, man, like we really need to hold in here. Otherwise, you're going to end up at this kind of much bigger zone down here where you get your weekly photo ADRs, monthly pivot point, weekly trend guide 2, gap fill, cheat 1 end of week, supply and demand low. So yeah, there's a ton of stuff there, and then if we decide to really keep going, just beneath there is the weekly anchor VWAP from March 10th, and then the tier 3 daily cheat. So yeah, I'm not sure there's much else to say. I guess the other one I would mention though is above, again, kind of got a bigger zone here. You could ignore the full ADRs and just watch it here with that combo high volume node. It looks like there's an NV POC hiding in there from April 20th. So you could, you know, just watch trend guide, weekly pivot there, yesterday's high going into IB, and then treat full separate if we get up there. I mean, at this point, like, we are rejecting kind of this combo high volume node there and VWAP, so we may not even come back up there. Just have to keep an eye out and watch and see. It'll also be interesting because now we've got, I don't have marked down there, but there's also going to be a swing anchor VWAP probably from these highs here, I would guess, too. So yeah, moving along, RTY, pretty clean on it. We got a div up above, got a zone right there with weekly trend guides. Full ADRs were there. They've kind of moved down, of course, overnight. I chose to not correct this, just given kind of how far down we gapped. I mean, that's a big, massive candle there. 25 points, 15 points. No, it's 25. By the time you're said and done, like, that's pretty big. 1790-ish all the way down to 65. So yeah. So yeah, didn't drag that up to include the MPP there. Next below, you've got trend guide reversal. There's horizontal ray there. There's a gap fill actually right in there too. So decent amount of things. We dragged it up to grab that gap fill. Here we added this block and moved a couple things around. It had moved this down below to grab the 20-day and supply and demand, and we said, nah, let's pull it up where we have more pieces of evidence to include WPP, trend strength reference point. There's a gap fill in there. There's an NV POC in there. There's also the combo point of control stuff right there too. So then moving next below, you've got your swing anchored VWAP from that secondary high that we just kind of continue to fail off of into your trend guide, and then your trend guide reversal, which it looks like we're trying to fail off of again here now. Yeah, we're pushing back down below, so we came up into this block and really couldn't push any higher, so really gonna have to watch and see what we do with the swing anchored VWAPs from the lows there. And then down here, you've got your full ADRs, weekly photos. We dragged it up. It was including this high volume node, but given this kind of big push back up there, and that big toothpick, again, this is an hourly candle, so that's a pretty good size kind of toothpick candle there. So we dragged the zone up to catch that overnight low-ish area. And then lastly down below, you've got your, we moved this down a little bit, so just kind of watch that as a potential div. Like you're right there, you know, check and see what KRE, XBI, IWM are doing at levels. Check them in comparison if we start coming down further to grab this weekly trend guide reversal too. Like that, again, that tier 2 daily cheat, it's there, but you know, to us the bigger and better zone was to drag it down a little bit and capture the tier 1 end of week cheat along with supply and demand. And then you can see there's been some structure back through here as well. So YM, nice little div there, and then a good zone there with your monthly trend guide, weekly trend guide reversal, combo high volume node. There's also a naked VA from a little bit ago. It was also previously the weekly IB stat high, which we clearly took out on this day. That may have been overnight too, for that matter. Because the weekly IB stat just looks at real-time hours Monday through Wednesday. Trend guide reversal, nothing significant there. WPP, trend strength, like pretty clear and clean one there. It does include the combo point of control on it. Yeah, I don't know there's a whole lot else with much of these here. The YM one is pretty clear with all of its zones and levels there. CL, super clean. It did make a couple of tweets on it, but really kind of liked it. You've got that zone that it came up and rejected on overnight, and let's see where it's actually at right now. Yeah, it's continuing to fail and kind of head back towards this combo point of control and stuff here now. So definitely like adding that zone there. That was not one that was included. So you've got your kind of secondary or shorter time frame swing anchored VWAP from April 14th, weekly pivots, that structure spot. So that 79th spot is where we gapped above, pushed down, held, and then did a big push off of. And so that's just an area that we couldn't get through. It's also got a gap fill in there from, looks like probably April 19th. And so coming down below, you know, did drag up and adjust this one here. So you get your trend guide, pulled up the zone to include the 50-day. It just, yeah, it just makes sense. And then adjust this one here below so that full ADR and gap fill are included with the March 20th swing anchor VWAP. The daily is going to be just a tad bit lower, not by much from the looks of it, because this thing starts at 4 a.m., so it won't be much lower by any means at all. And then yeah, then we grab this zone here, weekly trend guide, gap fill, tier 2 daily cheats. There's some structure there. Not much else to say on it. We had the zone marked yesterday, so pretty clean on CL. Moving through next to GC to wrap it all up. Big one yesterday. I think the algo fired for us somewhere over here. We did not swing it. Would have been really cool if we had. And actually, no, it didn't. It was somewhere over here that it fired. Actually saw it come up and tag the tier 1 daily cheat last night. Thought about chasing and just said forget about it and called it a night. But man, what a big flush off of that 2010-ish area down to, what's that, 1991, give or take, looks like where it's at now. Let's see, 1989. So it's continuing to push down into this zone here and going to the other side of the expected move for the day. You could drag this down to include the combo high volume node. We actually had dragged this up. I think it had actually included it. I know it didn't. In any event, we dragged it up nonetheless to catch that wick, and we continue kind of falling at this point down and are playing with trend guide reversal, and need to stop doing this so we can decide if we're going to take that trade or not, because this is a pretty nice area right there. There's also a naked VA in this spot that we need to put onto this chart. Below that, if we decide to keep going, there's March 13th, 2 a.m. swing anchor VWAP with full ADRs right below, coming into the March 10th. To us, this would be the sweet spot still, though. Like, if we could come down here, this would be an amazing one to grab, tag right off the 50-day daily anchor VWAP from what started this whole big move. So you got the look set up here. Was kind of hoping we'd get it off of the 20-day. There wasn't, we just didn't get it. And so, now do we hold off of the March 13th, kind of gap day there, or what do we do? So, but would really like this one here. Would probably look at some UGL or something else like that. But again, remember, we are not financial analysts or advisors. Do not take anything we say as buy or sell recommendations. So, yeah. Anywho, I hope everyone is doing well. Hope everybody has had a great week so far. And I think that will wrap it for us. I don't have, I think, anything else we need to highlight and cover off here. So, thank you very much. Hope everybody's getting stuff out of these. Again, I think we're going to move these back to start at 6:30. Maybe we keep them at 6. We'll just have to see. And we'll go from there. It's always interesting to see how these play out. So, all right, thanks. We will catch y'all later. Have a great day.